Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Eternal Brews. My name is M, and we're very excited to see you again today. We're going to be discussing our current grind deck, the Owlbears. This is a Huru aggro slash mid range deck, mostly tempo, I guess would be how I would describe it, relying on Plunk Wumpkin and moving our way up towards Nostrix Grand Seer while sort of exploiting the 2 units mechanic and playing around with some cards that are very resilient in a number of very interesting ways. So yeah, this is a Nostrix Grand Seer deck, the Tootsie Pop Owl. He's got everything that you want and doesn't take very many licks before everyone is very, very dead. So basic idea behind this deck: we play very simple good cards with decent amounts of durability and evasion, and then we slowly just sort of value out with continuous tempo while countering out our opponent's spells and keeping a board position that is very, very tight against aggro. So let's take a look at our deck. First off, we got Kothin the Far Watcher, always a solid 2-drop, 2/3 endurance. This is probably the least important card in the deck. It is a nice 2-drop. You can certainly replace it with another card in your slot if you don't have this particular legendary available. Plunk Wumpkin heads the field. Ended up being a late addition to this deck, but I think he is one of the stronger cards in the list. As a 3/1 Aegis and Valor unit, all with a optional option to draw cards with debt, something you're probably going to be taking pretty frequently, this card kind of does everything that you want to do. It puts on decent amounts of pressure, it soaks a ton of removal, or at the very least, it gets you card draw against other types of threats, while also trading up against other units and just generally being good at being aggressive while not being a particularly bad card to play on turn 2. Like, this is just tempo efficient, very, very solid stuff that does most of the things that you would want the thing to do. It's void bound, but Huru really doesn't care about void bound because you're never going to be bringing cards back from the void anyways. And yeah, just is very, very cute. You'll always feel good playing it because he's just kind of adorable. Like the whole lore behind Plunk is that he's too adorable to die. But yeah, anyways, Plunk is safe, Plunk is sneaky, and Plunk is an excellent choice here. Our final 2-drop is Styre's Eyes, as a 2/2 flyer that we will generally be discarding Justice Sigils to play Lingering Influence with. Doesn't really give us any card disadvantage when that happens, but the card can also shut down void-based strategies and give you life gain against certain decks that might really, really be pushing to kill you. So you can get some life on your turn, which of course counters out the 4-drop that specifically says life on your own turn. I would say this card is just overall going to be pretty bread and butter. A 2/2 flyer with an optional upside is really, really excellent, and that's actually going to be sort of the name of the game with most of these units. Helena Skyguide has a great stat line for a flying endurance unit. 3/4 is incredible, and the ability to give other units flying and endurance means you can break permafrosts, do a bunch of other useful things that will just wreck anything that's trying to actually knock that particular card off the field. You get to deal with lots of different types of stun effects, and you also get to recover units that are attacking for defense later on, which ends up being really useful since a lot of your units will have very high health values. We have Jada Peacekeeper, which generally gets us up in towards the 6 drops. Once we've been playing through our efficient cards, Jada Peacekeeper is a card that is either going to be tempoing our opponents out by attacking them for 4 every turn, or playing us enough justice to get to our 6 and 7 Nostrix and Eilin. In both situations, Jada tends to shine. As a stealth unit, it is often very likely to soak some sort of removal without actually getting into too much trouble, and overall just seems to be a really, really strong card with a really, really strong stat line that helps out against aggro decks while also being just very, very good overall. The Lee Bear Rider is the top of the curve before Nostrix, at a 4/4 with the +1/+1 overwhelm. This card just basically makes it so that any units that you have managed to keep down on the board with tempo actually become really, really scary and also get that added reach that you need to deal the damage you need to win the game. Valise will typically end the game on its own, but if you're getting into the late game, we do have very, very significant strategies there. Once we finally get up to Nostrix at 6, this card allows us to give random battle skills to cards that are attacking in addition to the overwhelm that Valise is giving, and it will never give the overwhelm that Valise is giving, because that one will usually be applied first. But yeah, in addition, it also gives +4/+4 to all of your draw cards. Nostrix is just a ton of fun to play with. You get to attack with a lot of your like little flyer cards and your fairly evasive units. Basically, your opponent doesn't want to block anything in this deck. It will either have flying, it'll have valor, or it will have just a really, really big stat line or some sort of beneficial effect, such as Jada Peacekeeper's effect. In all of those situations, blocking cards is typically pretty bad, so it's very easy to get Nostrix down with 2 units that you can actually attack with, and Nostrix itself at a 3/9 stymies most aggro decks, while also allowing for a second unit to attack with on the turn after it's played. I think this card is very, very sticky, and combined with the other high health units in this deck, it becomes really, really difficult for any red decks or most types of decks to actually get through and get the deck whittled down to the point where you're not doing some really interesting stuff. Island Clan Mother tops the field. This card is just great for everything. You get to silence a bunch of enemy threats, you get to blow up the entire board, and the card has flying and endurance, so it's very, very hard to kill, especially since it has 7 health. All of this together just leads to like a really, really sticky set of 30 units, all with really, really great stats, good evasion, just basic, great tempo that you're playing consistent cards with over and over and over again, while also fixing your power using Styre's Eyes and Jada Peacekeeper. So you got a really consistent curve, really consistent units, a decent amount of damage coming over the top, and you're even drawing some cards off Plunk and Styre's Eyes and sort of like doing some interesting things to actually like scout your board and get yourself like the consistent drops that you want. So consistency is super key with this deck, and ideally, unless you're playing against something like super wild, you're going to be having a really, really solid time with this in terms of just making good decisions and playing things over and over again. On the spell list, we have Defiance to counter out all of the very, very fast aggro that is common in Stonescar, Bless the Wild to counter out basically any direct damage spells that might kill your opponent's stuff. There's nothing more frustrating to someone than playing a Char on a Plunk Wumpkin, then throwing a Torch at a Plunk Wumpkin, only to see it get a +1/+1 bonus and then counter out the Torch. You can also notably use this card on other people's units, which isn't necessarily an important thing, but I have actually done like a specific little blowout where you like, for example, use it on like a 2/1 that's attacking you and is getting a rampage, and then the overwhelm damage doesn't happen. Just like minor little sub details that really, really help on that front. Finest Hours, still one of the strongest 1-drop fast spells in the game, keeps your plunks alive. Huru Blueprints is there to sort of fix your power while also giving you a really nice way to get a couple of extra cards later on. And Spared Fate is just a really great way to clear the board of, again, pesky aggro cards, which tend to be sort of the word of the day, at least in gold and silver. So I think that this is just a really, really solid card that not only gives your non-flying units flying, but also wrecks everything on the board that your opponent has that doesn't have flying. And you'll notice that very few of your cards don't have flying, and most of the ones that do, that don't, also have like 5 health or Aegis or some other thing. So you're typically putting this on a Plunk, dealing 3 damage to your Jada, and dealing no damage to all of your other flyers. It's a great time. Yeah, that's really pretty much it. Like, the deck does not have like a strong prevailing strategy apart from like using Nostrix and Valise to really sort of like push out value. It's mostly just good cards, and these good cards are pretty cheap and easy to get. I would say, apart from Kothan, which again, you can cut this for other 2-drops if you want to, you have a pretty reasonable set of cards here with just 6 legendaries, the 4 Nostrixes, and the 2 Islands. And the Islands are probably cuttable if you want to go for a little bit more aggression. So simple crafts, simple, easy to play cards. Let's go ahead and show off a couple of games from it, and you'll see that it's a pretty solid tempo deck. All right, cheers. All right, first game up against Humble Ice. I've got a Jada Peacekeeper, but I don't have any blue, so I'm probably going to toss this back. This deck's very good at getting green. It's not very good at getting blue, so we want to have either access to 2 blue sources or some green sources and a Huru Heirloom, just basically enough to actually get off the ground. This is a little bit trickier. Go first with 2 power, and then a 3-drop that we are trying to look forward to is really rough. Also, the power's depleted. I don't think I want to go to 6 here. That's just not a great time, so we're probably going to keep this. Let's get our headphones in, because I'm guessing that there's just a little bit of echo. Huru Tome seems good. Seat of Order looks good. I think we'll go ahead and set up with the Huru... Now let's set up with the Seat. Yeah, Tome it is. Tome it is. The Seat can be used later to get us all the things that we want to get, so that should be fun. Alright, early aggression is really something that we tend to expect in this particular setup. Once again, we are trying to just sort of like play it through. We can use Defiance here. I don't think it's a great plan against the Taking Grenadin, since that card's just not as much of a threat as some of the other cards that'll be attacking us. It is nice to get rid of them pretty early, particularly if they are the biggest threats, but I think here it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Alright, Koth and the Forwatcher. We are stuck on towers. This will probably be not such an amazing round, but we'll see what we can do with it. By and large, I think we got most of what we need here, but it's gonna be tough because this deck's going fairly wide and we are struggling to play power. So hopefully we get a power 3. As it currently stands, we're just dealing with lots and lots of stuff. If we manage to play an undepleted power into a Jada, I think we're relatively happy. But until then. Alright, undepleted power. Fortunately, Huru Tome is hybrid power, but it is also very strong power. And we can use it to infinitely block that Ticking Grenadin without actually killing it, which I think is very, very good. Gonna take 4 damage here, which I don't love. Molten Feet is not a scary card for us, not without something else buffing it, so let's go ahead and get that. And that'll get us a greeting. So now we're in a slightly better position. We're still pretty low on power, but because we have Helena Sky Guide and Spared Fate and a bunch of other things, actually I think Spared Fate here is just super strong, so we'll probably go with that. Boop. Alright, attacking for 4 here seems not good considering how much of the deck has charge. Yeah. But overall, this looks like it's going to be pretty okay. Okay, 2 Cyber Skimmers is no problem. I could pay a contract here, but I think I'm better off playing Plunk and just leaving everything be. If they want to draw some cards here off the Cyber Skimmers, well, they're not going to get to, because we're going to get to, like, Defiance both of them. We actually get to do a nice little trick here where we power out a Justice Sigil, and then we just Defiance the 2 Cyber Skimmers, and that's it for their card draw. I could let them draw here. But I think it's better to just Defiance both.
You will pay for your crimes. You will pay for your crimes.
There. No cards from the Cyber Skimmers, both units dead, and we got a Justice Sigil out of the bargain. Pretty good stuff. Nostrix Grand Seer coming out with 2 units on board. These sticky units, you just tend to have 2 units on board pretty consistently. So we'll pop in. Give some random battle skills, see what we get. Looks like Revenge and Deadly. But that's good enough. Pay the debt, draw the card. I'll put us a little bit lower, but it means we can play like Helena and Finest Hour and a bunch of other stuff next turn. Yeah, easy peasy, not really too difficult. It's got owls, it's got bears, it's Owlbears. Alright, we got a Seat, a Primal Sigil, Spared Fate. Once again, we got that nice 2-hand. I don't really like hands with just 2 power. I think we can definitely redraw this since we got a good chance at something better. Okay, Plunk Wumpkin probably makes this hand keepable. I really don't like starting without green influence, but considering that most of our cards here are pretty deep blue, and Spared Fate probably going to be strong even if we draw a bunch of blue, I think playing Plunk early and just getting into that should be strong, and we have a good chance of getting some green later on. So here we go. Best of luck, Plunk Wumpkin. Plunk needs to be safe and strong. Yeah, good old Styre's Eyes. That card's good, turns out. Really like that card. Alright, it's unfortunately a good blocker for Plunk, so it's going to make it fairly hard to draw cards here. But Plunk's pretty safe, so we'll see. He's also very sneaky, I hear. Okay. So attacking here has its value. We get to trade with the Flyer, which, you know, we want to do. Or we could trade with the Helena Sky Guide, which is even better. I'm pretty into that. Alright, cool. Trading a 2 for a 3 isn't the worst. We definitely still need Justice to get our shoes off the ground, but we'll see what we can get. Ooh, that's a little frightening. In fact, that's a lot frightening. I think we have to play Koth in here.
Tell me, what do you
And then we can Defiance the 2/2, which will keep some things off our back. I think we Defiance whatever they hit with Ejin here. Yeah, they're gonna attack for 2. I think it's best to Defiance right now. The Egen can only exhaust to put the armor on that, so it's better to not take the damage at all in this case. And if we actually get our 4th power, we can Spared Fate, and then we don't have to deal with any more of those monsters for a bit. There. No nonsense, just simple, easy, good units, playing it out. Egen Mithril Daimyo is a strong card, one that does a lot of work for us here. Charge, flying, and double damage distributed between different cards. I think we have to block this. There's no way we're taking 6 here. So, just has to be the way it is. And we'll play a Valise and see if we get a good blocker that way. This is going to be a little bit rough, though.
Behind me.
Valise at least blocks Egen, so that gets us into better spots. Helena and Kothan are both pretty strong here. I would say if I can play both of them and actually get the contract, might be worth it. This block seems fine. Rampage is a little bit worrisome, but
For my warriors.
yeah, got the Daimyo, so I think that's an okay
I've got their
trade.
position.
And a 2/2, not really doing anything for us, so I think at this point we just... Ooh, do we put down another Valise? I think we put down Helena. Red, green, yep.
There are no secrets.
No point in taking a contract here, so we won't. Spared Fate is not as strong when your opponent has a lot of flyers. We definitely don't want that to happen. Okay. I can certainly afford to take 6, though. Not the end of the world. Alright, so Valise gives us a really nice big unit on board. I think I'm probably most comfy with that. Let's attack for 3 first, see what happens.
Behind me.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'm happy with Valise, because then like that sets up Nostrix, and it also allows us to play Kothan and Spared Fate in the same turn. And, you know, also gives us a good unit on board, which is important. We might see some, like, even removal. We might see some toppling. A couple of possible options. Danglo Handmaster is not amazing here. Can't stun both. We can definitely get this, or we can get this and then kill the other 2. I think we get this and kill the other 2. Okay, so Spared Fate. Probably should have given it to Valise, since Valise can actually get unstunned at some point.
We have learned much.
Jada Peacekeeper looks lovely, considering that we're really trying to get some power going.
We can learn much.
It is the only way.
So go ahead and put that down, and put down a Kothan as well, because that card's got Endurance, and Endurance is pretty important against the Manacles. Alright. Breach the defenses. At least that's not aimed at my face. That means it's going to be harder for them to actually find what they need. And what do you know? We got 2 units. So, Nostrix, swing. The random battle skill shouldn't reveal this stealth unit, which is good. I like the Defiance here, probably more than I like the Kothan. We have Exalted, that's great, and Killer, that's also great.
We can learn much.
Alright, this is looking pretty done. It's a narrow escape, but... Okay, that one hurts. Let's play... It's a 3-drop unit, I think we can killer it. Oof.
We can learn much.
Alright.
There are no secrets.
What do we want to pop out here? Probably the Jada, since the Jada has Exalted. The Nostrix is fine on its own. We get good value out of that. Oh, that freed the Nostrix. I forgot about that. Yeah, Helena Skygut is very good. I misplayed here by not doing that first so that I could attack with the Nostrixes for lethal, but... Oh wait, never mind, it's Killer. We did it right, but we did it wrong, so... I look a little silly, but the deck looks good. There we go. Yeah, beat out Manacles. This deck has surprising resilience against just a wide variety of different things that are played commonly in Expedition. Permafrost and Manacles, Helena Sky Guide knocks them out. You get in a lot of Zito's House Cats, Plunk Wumpkin is a great discard target because you get to pay a contract and draw a new card. You just have like all these different things where it's like, oh, they're trying to hit you with a very particular type of thing, and then you just kill that thing. I think the main weaknesses that it has at the moment are like mass removal, but even then, like most of the units are pretty resilient. Some of them have Aegis. There's a lot of like good things going on where it's just, it makes problems for your opponents, and when you stack up enough problems, eventually you get the win. All right, Mr. Pickles. This opening hand has a couple of decent things, but it doesn't have units, so you gotta redraw it. Okay, looking a little better there. We got Plunk Wumpkin, Bless the Wild, and the Defiance. Plunk can sort of carry the game on his own, so definitely a strong card to be throwing down this early. And odds are pretty good that he's not gonna die. Nothing more fun than defiancing a Battlefront Dasher.
You will pay for your crimes.
Alright. Now I get to play a Plunk. Plunk just can't be countered because they're deep, deep in debt. And then from here we attack for 3. And I think we pay the debt, yeah. The one disadvantage to this is that once they play like double cards to kill the Plunk, we will have to go into contract debt to Bless the Wild. Oh, okay, well. Can't beat that out, but that's fine. We got a pretty good setup there. Let's play Valise next. Plunk is nice. It runs the risk of a second. No, I think Plunk is correct here, because that gives us the ability to Bless the Wild if they actually go all in. If they have a second Vobrex's Choice, that's super tough, but other than that, I think we're okay.
New leadership.
Okay, that's Sill. Spared Fate. Oh, I take 8 for this, but, you know, I think I can live with that, because we haven't taken any damage yet, so let's get some cards. Okay, and it's a Nostrix Grand Seer. What everybody loves to see. Next turn, Valise.
Glory in combat. A scar is a lesson.
Probably pay our debts, although Bless the Wild's looking pretty good here. Ooh, another Plunk, okay. If I play a Plunk here and just go into debt, then I get a card. I've got the Nostrix next turn for sure. I think Valise is the better blocker, and that's kind of relevant at this point. Kind of nice to draw the card here, but I think we want to Bless the Wild for the card advantage instead. Yeah, that beats out a lot of different things, so we're into it. Worth the block? Nah, take the hit. Let's make them work for this. Whatever it is they're working for. $15 health is plenty to work with at the moment. Okay, could Bless the Wild here, but not worth it. I got good damage out of that. A little sad.
Plunk is so safe. There are no secrets.
I think we pay the contract here.
Keep your edge.
Gets us a decent amount of damage and allows us to actually set up some blocks now. Stonebreaker Bow was a good choice there. They used the right tools, so all good on that front. But now we have more problems on the board, and they have to deal with those problems. Chakram Throw? Okay. That is a card that deals damage, but it is not a card that has a lot of tempo or speed. We're now a lot faster than these folks, and we have Finest Hour and Overwhelm, so that's lethal. Solid stuff. Alright, that's pretty much it for Owlbears. If you like this deck, it's definitely going to be the first of a couple of brews that we've got brewing right now. I have 2 others that I really need to basically just get the editing done on and put out. If you're looking for substitutes for Kothan Farwatcher and Island Clanmother, I recommend making the deck a little faster with cards like Crownwatch Paladin, Argenport Noble, and District Infantry, all of which are cards that will generally give you a decent amount of speed and a lot of pressure, and make the deck just a little bit faster and more aggressive than if you'd be going for the like sort of late game Island Clanmother thing. I'm just a big fan of Island in general, so Find the Moment is also reasonably playable here, as is, I think, the even-costed removal card, to the one that kills even-costed units. I believe it's called Defend the Treasury. But by and large, plenty of different like good green options that you can sub in for the legendaries if you want to. The deck does not even necessarily need Determinus at Nostrix, although I think that Nostrix is just a strong enough card against all of the aggro that's out there that you're probably going to be pretty happy with it. Wouldn't recommend going for Aurum Condemnation. It's just a little too awkward with the like 3s and 4s in this deck, but by and large you can do those kinds of substitutes and still have a pretty good popper version of the list. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The deck does have its own weaknesses. You don't have any Relic Destruction. You don't have a great option against mass removal, so finding other counter spells or other Relic Destruction are things to consider when you are siding / like altering the deck. Keep those in mind if you think that the meta is going to be like going in that direction. But right now, with the pretty heavily aggressive meta, I think this is a very strong sort of list against that sort of setup. So, good luck, happy grinding, and I hope you enjoyed the brew. We'll see you all next time with more Eternal Brews. And you can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/LocoPojo for the moment. And I am also playing Arkham games on Games with M, and you can check out our Discord for notifications on when we have new videos up, specifically customized to whatever it is that you're specifically trying to get notified about. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye!